The G20 leaders who met here today didn't get everything they wanted, but they did get what they wanted most: agreement on a plan to pull the world economy out of its worst financial crisis since the Great Depression. They closed their summit by pledging to lend more than $1 trillion to struggling nations and to tighten regulations on the financial markets. Our chief White House correspondent Chip Reid covered the summit. And Chip, the president didn't get everything he wanted either, but it appears he's leaving pretty satisfied.
Katie, I would say satisfied is an understatement. The president confidently predicted that this summit would be a major success, and today he boldly declared that he was absolutely right.
By any measure, the London summit was historic. It was historic because of the size and the scope of the challenges that we face, and because of the timeliness and magnitude of our response.
After 2 days of high-profile diplomacy, President Obama praised his fellow G20 leaders for putting global consensus ahead of personal interest.
We have agreed on a series of unprecedented steps to restore growth and prevent a crisis like this from happening again.
Key elements of the economic plan include the pledge of $1.1 trillion to help hard-hit developing countries, tougher financial regulation targeting high-risk hedge funds, and strict standards on executive compensation. But the president did not get everything he wanted. He was unable to convince many nations to devote more to stimulus spending. France's Nicolas Sarkozy and Germany's Angela Merkel had threatened to oppose the agreement if it didn't include a global regulator with real teeth, but they signed on to what is essentially a list of goals and promises. After the summit, Sarkozy lavished praise on Mr. Obama, giving him credit for brokering the final compromise of the day, clamping down on tax havens. Mr. Obama broke a standoff between Sarkozy and China's Hu Jintao by taking them into a corner as the other leaders watched and working out a compromise. The president said there was some ire over America's role in causing the crisis.
There were occasional comments, usually wedged into some other topic, that indicated from their perspective that this started in America.
He also addressed criticism that the G20 was not producing the same level of global change that came after World War II.
If it's just Roosevelt and Churchill sitting in a room with a brandy, that's an easier negotiation. But that's not the world we live in.
Despite a slight cold,
been fighting this all week.
The president continued his charm offensive with the nearly 2,000 members of the International Press Corps who literally begged to ask questions.
We're not doing bidding here.
From this summit, it's on to the next one. First thing tomorrow morning, the president leaves for France and Germany for the NATO summit, where Afghanistan will be the central issue, and President Obama will once again be at center stage. Katie?
Chip Reid, Chip, thank you very much for your work this week.